But I did not. Let's do that again.
Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Finally feels like spring here in Southern California, man. Woo-wee. Sun's out, warm weather, get the t-shirt on today. Yeah, I mean, we were 24 hours away from the draft at long freaking last. I could kind of get the vibe from fifth year option today. If I had to put a descriptor on your tone, I'm going to go with over it. Is that fair?
Yeah, I just want it to happen. I want to go pick up my paycheck. Fucking like move on with my life. Like I'm ready to just dive in on football it's funny, it is football. I want to dive in on like, how these teams are starting. I've spent zero time on like how some of these free agency moves have gone, how some of these teams are shaping up, how, we don't have schedules yet, but we have like, here's the teams you're going to play, like starting to, analyze some of that and stuff. And I will say, and I will talk to you guys in the Deep Dive DGens Discord because I'm looking for ideas. Part of the reason, we killed Brown Bag Bets is because I need time. I'm going to try to write a pretty good NFL. I mean, it'll be NFL gambling, but mostly NFL sports betting newsletter, hopefully during this, and with a lot of help from a lot of other people, hopefully during the season, maybe even daily. Should be awful nice. So anything anyone's look, honestly, also if you want to write for free,
that's cool.
Let me know on that. But I'm gonna be soliciting ideas from some of my trusted Deep Dive DGens in the Discord. Like I get yelled at for not posting enough in there on my VR today, so I had to go post. Like
I like VR's attitude. I didn't love your attitude, so him kind of taking you to task was
I'm a lurk.
For me, yeah.
I'm a real good lurker in there, like because I'm like and here's the reason why. If I get started in a conversation, it's like, oh, I just lost an hour because now I'm talking to like 9 people in this. Yeah. And I kind of miss the days of when the RAS Slack was on Slack. For some reason, it was easier because work. Okay. I have the work Slack too. I just flip back and forth. But no, I'm excited for it to be over. I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to see what live options we have. I think that's always been fun. There's always some good opportunities. Yeah. And I guess final thoughts on that before we get, and we'll take, we'll take any questions you guys have.
Well, let me kind of run a couple things by you. First of all,
also Julius Randle get hurt.
I don't know. I have Grizzlies on. I can't watch the Knicks. Those Knicks.
I think he fucked up his ankle. Somebody help me out with that in the chat, guys.
No, the couple things I wanted to bring up. We'll talk some NBA for sure today. I wanted to kind of air some thoughts on the NBA playoffs. No grievances other than the Grizzlies shitting on me. But a couple things. First of all, it's been, I got to do a fifth year option with Luke last week. It was awesome fun. I hope you got a chance to hear that one. We rolled through some wild.
Bringing you back. Yeah. We don't also hate, as far as soliciting ideas, we are going to bring back the fifth year option for the NBA draft. It might not be 15 weeks of it. It would probably be a shorter run. But we had a lot of fun with all three of us, you, I, Luke, everybody. We had a lot of fun with it last year. We know a lot of good guys. There's some good information and we have some good connections, I believe, that we can maybe help you guys out with some good bets, with some information. But it cannot be called fifth year option. That is very football specific. So if you guys have a good draft,
Josh might have got with the first one headed to the locker room. I like that.
I thought that would we're not doing an Anthony Davis centric.
Well, no, but he's headed to the locker room because these guys are now going to NBA locker rooms.
I think they're answering the Julius Randle question, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, so
but I digress. What I was going to say is I'd like you to come on that at some point.
Oh, sure.
Obviously, a great guest.
It's been cool to have that as, a fifth year option as the second show running on our feed. I'm going to pitch bringing back some of the green evergreen podcasts, just rerun them, just re-add them to the feed. Some of the ones we did back in the day. We'll put one up every Monday and then still do a live show every Friday. I think that would be pretty cool. I kind of want to listen to a couple of those myself, and if we hear one and we're like, shit, man, we got to re-record that one.
Stupid. Like, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. That's entirely possible. And a couple thoughts. We'll get to the draft in a second, but of course, I got to fill in for you on fifth year option because you were out becoming a professional putt-putt golfer. Now, I didn't get to see the whole event. But what I saw, you were at the top of the leaderboard. Like, you looked like you had an insurmountable lead. I saw at one point you had like 10 or 15 points, and like the next best golfer had like 4. So
my God, Drew, I'm not
you won, right? You won, right?
This is probably the reason, and I'm very good at like self-evaluation, and I knew this in like high school, like with sports. Like, I was good. I was a good technician. When it came to sports, I was decent. I just really, really lacked like that fire, that competitive, like, oh shit, I gotta win at all costs. I'm like, God, it'd be a lot better if I cared more. And that combined with the amount of pressure there is when there's a camera like 6 inches from your fucking face, it was basically like if I got a hole in one on a couple holes, and I parred
sure you
20.
Did. Yeah,
If I did. I got 2 hole in ones on the 18. If I missed the second putt, there was just no 3s. It was going to be a 5. Like, that was my issue, because then it's like, oh God, like it's almost like the sitcom where you hear the voices in your head, and like the room gets dark and you can see the people laughing at you, and it's like, oh my God, I'm melting here. And then I'd miss a 3-footer, it'd go 6 feet. I'd have another 3-footer on the way back. It was a mess.
So you didn't win, is what you're telling me.
Really psycho. And it's funny too, because it was just an event that is held at like this is the funniest part. It would be like John Rahm getting his master's jacket and some guy like walking up with his 3 other buddies and be like, yeah, we got the 5:22 tee time. Can you guys clear out? Like, legitimately, when the event was done, there was just like families rolling into mini golf. It's just it's a public court. They knew it was closed for certain hours for the event, but like just a bunch of kids rolled up afterwards. So they sell these trophies that you can buy. And I spent $12 on a trophy that has a horse's ass that said last place.
DFL. Yeah,
it said last place. My kids think it's funny because they thought they just gave it to me. Like, you got a trophy for last place? I'm like, yeah, buddy.
This isn't a good one. I will say that to improve my putting game. Yeah.
The World Putting League is the league, but this event was put on by PLN, which is Pro League Network. They were great. They had they had a great camera crew. They had the setup. They had the announcers. They had the live stream. Legitimately, the live stream was happening right outside, and all the golfers who were eliminated are watching it,
of course,
on the TV, just because it's easier. You can't follow these guys around the course. There's not enough room. They did a great job, and hopefully I can work with them again on whatever else they want to do with card jitsu.
Pro Eating League for sure. Do they not have deals in place with the Pro Eating?
I might have to put them in contact with some people I know, but no, it was a ton of fun, even though I got the shit kicked out of me on a few holes.
Okay.
I believe I was under par after like 5 holes or something.
Yeah. I enjoyed it when they flashed up your score and you were like 10 and the next best was 4, and they had you like highlighted with one other person and they were like, this is danger zone, might not make the cut. It cracked me up. Anyway, any truth to the rumor that the Myrtle Beach Chamber of Commerce asked you and Jeff and Pizza to leave the city?
I would have stayed there. I would have stayed there for. When I got back to Minneapolis, it was like 36 degrees. I would have stayed there for another. And I did misspeak. This is how. I don't know if anyone else is in this boat and they don't listen to their wife well enough.
Sure.
I was pretty sure she booked a house north of Wilmington. She booked a house south of Wilmington. So the Airbnb she got on the beach is like 30 minutes from Myrtle.
Oh yeah.
So definitely heading back with the family, and I'm going to show them like it's like, when Joe Namath brings the grandkids out to this is where I competed. I'm going to bring them to that mini golf place. Hopefully they don't fucking remember me. Oh, this jackass.
Oh, this guy, horse's
Oh,
ass
this
here.
guy.
Old
Yeah.
horse's ass. All right. Well, did you guys do any gambling
Like on hockey.
on hockey? Okay.
Yeah.
They gave you some
Can't bet
tips
on
and
the
you
event.
watched.
There's a lot of integrity problems.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's a lot of integrity about the event. Okay. All right. Well, a couple
we
of.
did bet. I was with Canadians. We bet on hockey. We went out. We had fun. It was good.
Yeah.
I bet some baseball for sure while I was down there.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, let's pivot to a couple of draft stories. I'm glad that you made it back safely. So far, or at least on the big kind of the big bombshell on fifth year option when I was talking with Luke last week was kind of truly and 100% sincerely, we were speculating about the likelihood that Mac Jones may be on the move, considering how that relationship is deteriorated.
There were some very light rumblings at that point.
And I said that out loud, and we got a lot of feedback of who told you this, what is going on here? Like, how did you find this out? And apparently there was a kind of plausible smoke there that there was an offer in place, including Mac Jones to Texans for the 2 pick, with the target being Will Levis. I have since been told, and this is kind of recent, that Texans are out of the trading the 2BQ market. They are going to stick with their pick, and it is a pretty significant uncertainty. I don't know what the Patriots do now. Like, the idea that they have poisoned that relationship beyond repair, I think, is pretty apparent, and I really have no idea where they go from here. They may be in the quarterback market still in this draft. I have no clue, but they're not going to get their guy apparently unless he slides to 3 and they make a deal with the Cardinals, I guess. But I haven't heard that that's really has any legs to it. So I think for now, at least, we got to put that in our back pocket and just try to figure out what we're going to do with that information. The other thing that I thought was pretty interesting was there is a huge amount of uncertainty with 2 still. Really, really smart, well-connected people.
Did you hear my question I posed to Luke right off the bat? I said, at this point, let's just say, at this point, we are right around 24 hours exactly out. I said, at this point last year, how many picks did you have like a 90% certainty or above on? It was a handful.
I think at this eight-ish.
I think at this point, we were pretty sure about the top 3.
Yeah.
And 4 and 5, we were pretty close on.
Yeah.
We were sure.
2 was still a little bit of a question mark. Somebody bet the crap out of Kayvon Thibodeau. You remember? And there was a lot of buzz on that. And I remember getting very lucky because I was like, I had bet over 2.5 on Thibodeau early, like for a full stake. And then after hearing all that, I was like, fine, I'll buy out. And I got like under 4.5 or something stupid. And then the Giants took him 4. Very, very, very lucky middle.
4, 5, and 2 were a little bit in the air. I felt strongly about Hutch. Obviously, Trayvon, I felt was a lock. Looking back at how much freaking bets I put on it, Stingley, we felt really good about.
But just in general, like which positions teams were keyed on.
Yeah, exactly.
What range players were going to go in. All of that was pretty plausible.
London, Olave, those ones felt really good at the time.
And now we sit here and there are a bunch of players who are like market says, these guys are going top 10. They may go top 5, but their range is like could go as high as 3, as low as 12. Like what the shit? This is crazy.
The uncertainty this year is much higher.
Yeah.
And it sometimes it's just like, there's chunks of uncertainty. Like we said, we knew Stingley, but 2 was going to be, Thibodeau or Hutch. And then that was going to change 4, 5, 6 based on who's left. And then where the, Icky, where Cross, where these other tackles go. At this point, there's so many teams. It's like, well, they need all of this and they could go a bunch of different ways. And a lot of it depends on the dominoes that fall before it, which sucks. And I don't say this often, but when I do say it, I mean it. Sometimes I wish we didn't gamble because it was like what I said to you earlier when we were speaking about the NBA. I said, from a betting standpoint, I hope. What did I say? I hope the Celtics plane crashes into the Bucks trading facility,
Yes.
so I can just get Philly buyed to the finals.
Yeah.
I said, but from a watching the NBA standpoint, I'm excited for Celtics Philly.
Surely.
Phillies. I keep calling them the Phillies.
Sixers.
76ers.
Yeah. Celtics. Sixers.
I'm very excited for that. But same thing goes with this. Like, if you're not betting on this, the level of uncertainty is a lot of fun. There's going to be wild surprises around every corner. That said, hopefully not. Hopefully we just get a bunch of leaks and information tomorrow, and we can make a shitload more money.
Yeah. Yeah. This time last year, it was all a matter of like making sure people were sincerely understood that Trayvon Walker was going one. That was kind of late breaking. This year, though, I mean, I still don't really understand what's going on with Houston at 2. We've have well-connected friends. We're in the same circles from info sharing and everything. Are you surprised at the sort of like 3 people who all would know, all telling you something very different about what Houston intends to do?
Yeah, I mean, I
lack
think
of consensus. You would agree, though, that there's a lack of consensus in the info space?
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we could go 50 drafts and not have 2 that we could be like, hey, remember the 2018 draft? It was a lot like this one sitting here in 2032. We could go 50 years and not be able to say that, because the teams that have high picks combined with there's so many, like, the independent and the dependent variables are like, there's so much going on, and like, how many teams need the same amount of the same position, combined with how many of those players are there, combined with the positional like, what do you call it, the positional value of that position, the implied value of your draft pick that you have, the amount of trades that can happen. Like, just having a draft that is nothing like last year should be very unsurprising. Like, and just, the teams that are at the crux points that matter, Houston at 2, some of these, like Indy at 4, some of these ones where if we knew what they were doing, we could put a lot of pieces together around that.
Right. Yeah.
Like the fact that they're, sometimes you just have teams with tight ships at the top and they're not going to have leaks.
Sure.
Like, if we had Pittsburgh at 1 and, a couple of these
other teams. Is there a strategic advantage, though, to giving because, like, literally you put the puzzle pieces together and who's getting what from who, and it literally looks like there's a coordinated effort to mislead. Do you think I'm overstating that?
I don't think it doesn't happen. That's a weird way to say that. But I don't think it's,
So I'm conspiracy tinfoil.
Yeah, you're full tinfoil.
I'm tinfoil hat saying that they internally had an intendant, and then there's an intention to mislead.
So the fact that you have the Texans at 2-12, the Colts at 4, and the Tennessee Titans sitting there in a spot where they might be trading up. All these teams that are within the same division, like, that just screams like, why wouldn't you release some misinformation?
Of course.
Why? And I think that's a big part of why Houston and Indy have been really, really tight-lipped about stuff as much as they can be. And the same thing with Tennessee. So I think that's some of the uncertainty. And then the thing is too, you're sitting here with the 3 spot, very likely to be traded over the next 24 hours. I don't know if they can get it done during the draft, but I feel like it's 50-50 that Arizona moves that pick before we go live and have 20 minutes of fucking coverage before we get Bryce Young to go.
Okay. So what is the situation in Houston? If let's just pretend that we know that let's pretend then that there was no intention to mislead, and that this is all born out of just who you're connected to and what information you got. And this coach likes Will Anderson, and this GM likes Tyree Wilson, and this owner wants to take a quarterback, and the best in his opinion is Will Levis. And that's what's kind of driving all of this, what seems like uncertainty, right? or at least is driving this kind of obfuscation.
That word.
What
doesn't
yeah.
it? So doesn't it feel like? Think of a situation that's just like that recently. Last year, number one pick.
Yeah, sure.
We knew
GM
that
got his way.
for
GM
sure.
got his way. Yeah.
We said coach
We knew
likes
it was
one.
his decision though.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's the difference. So
We don't really
like,
know whose decision this is.
Coach, that's the big difference. The coach liked a player.
Yeah.
Khan liked a player.
Yeah.
Balky liked a player.
Right.
And those are three different players. But we had information that said, this is the guy that won the argument, and this is the way they're going. It's
Correct.
the same situation. We just don't have that.
We don't know who wins. Okay.
Which is worse.
Okay, let me then ask you if this passes any of the smell test. You potentially have a situation where your two division rivals who don't have quarterbacks, Tennessee and Indy, choose after you at 3 and 4. Your job security is so high as the GM if you get to make that choice that you really are going defense and you're going to let your opponents take the next two quarterbacks. Like, does that pass the smell test?
You know what I keep thinking about is that stupid tweet in the goddamn Old English font.
Yeah.
Like, the first thing I thought of when they sent that tweet was, well, first off, like, who okayed this? This is ridiculous.
Sure.
Like, let's not do this ever. But the second one was like, oh my God, they're gonna pass on a quarterback. They're gonna trade.
You think that was what it meant?
Like, just like, because how mad? Put yourself in the shoes of a Texans fan. Like, you've won a couple division titles 5-6 years ago. You won a playoff game or two. Nothing really to write home about as a franchise so far.
Sure.
Like, you're not like Cleveland Browns frustrated, but you're frustrated. And you've had Davis Mills, and you've had, like, just whatever at quarterback. You're like, if I'm a fan of the Texans, I want a quarterback no matter what. I'm not even sure I care which one.
Sure.
Like, I think if you are going to go defense, you have to, like, really lay the groundwork. Like, hey, honey, I know Valentine's Day is like a Tuesday, but, like, we have a tea time. you got to, like, buy your presents ahead of time and stuff, just because just got you these flowers because I love you. But
yeah, you also have to be absolutely locked in, certain that the guy you're passing on quarterback for is going to be a long-term contributor, a la, the Commanders and Chase Young not extending.
And that's right. I wonder.
And there's no Chase. Neither of these guys is Chase Young in this draft in terms of, like, bona fide surefire will get to defensive player of the year.
And I wonder if the Texans 5,000. Mind hive is in the same spot where I'm at, where I don't think any of the quarterbacks are good.
So then why in the world didn't you entertain a trade with the Patriots to get Mac Jones? That answers your quarterback question. And then you can basically get 2 players on top of that. And who knows whatever the future compensation was.
So what's the point of that? Like, Mac Jones is good,
he's an upgrade over what you're going to trot out there now.
So he's an upgrade, but if you're resigned to, hey, we're going to put
buying him at a bargain basement.
I know, but if you're resigned to put out this statement like, hey, have patience, guys, why have this? Why spend anything on this intermediate, even if it's a bargain price on this intermediary? I don't think anybody thinks Mac Jones is going to be like, hey, this is the key to, opening up the next 10 years. Like, if you're truly going to pass on one of these 4 quarterbacks, because maybe you just don't like them, maybe you don't think there's anybody worth it, and you just want to go defense, or defense, offensive line, defense, wide receiver, why wouldn't you just not take a quarterback at all? Roll out and deal with the backlash of starting Davis Mills again and go get Caleb.
You think that the fan base there has patience for third coach in 3 years, and
fan base doesn't fire the GM. Like,
I don't know. There's just a huge this doesn't pass the smell test.
No, it doesn't. Like, it doesn't make sense. You know what? It doesn't make sense from this is how things are always done. This is how the league works. This is how GMs have to operate to keep their jobs.
Sure.
But from maybe this is the right move and they're actually smarter than most teams. Like if you don't believe in any of these quarterbacks, you entertain the trade, and if the Patriots are dead set on Mac is the asset rather than more picks, then maybe you just tell them to pound sand, take an elite defender.
Andy, you know what? If you don't believe in Levis at 2 and the Patriots want to trade up for him at 2 and you're getting there next year's first round pick, you absolutely pull the trigger, and then you are getting good players in your draft. You've got your coach now. You're going to run a Shanahan type of system that doesn't even really need an elite quarterback anyway. I think you can win next year and then still have a crack potentially at the top to upgrade your situation.
And here's my theory about why that I think the Patriots lowballed them.
Sure.
Because they said,
probably.
Well, now we know you don't like a quarterback in the draft. So why don't we just, hey, I got Arizona on hold right now. Like, here's our offer. It sucks. And we don't give a shit because take a quarterback, either do something you don't want to do or pass on a quarterback, and we'll just take him at 3. And we can give Arizona a slightly worse package probably. So I think I don't know.
You got to give Arizona more because they are not going to see taking on a beleaguered Mac Jones as an asset.
They have a very inexperienced GM. Like, I think he can take advantage of Austin Ford.
Okay. Well,
I don't know. Like, I do think that
we're going a long way around. I just don't see. I'm looking at all the.
It doesn't pass the smell test.
I'm looking at all the tea leaves here, and I just cannot help but feel like the Texans have known for a while what their plan is, and all of this smoke screening, misinformation. I think it was coordinated, and I think it was intended to do 2 things: try to drive up the Patriots' price for the trade up, or try to convince the Titans that they're not going to take a quarterback, which then encourages the Titans to pull the trigger on a trade to move up to 3 before the draft starts. And then presumably if you know who, or if you think you know who the Titans are going to take, you can take that guy from right out from under their nose. And honestly, like, that entire thing being their plan, I would have much more respect for this organization from top to bottom than I would if they actually stick with to pick number 2, take a defender, and then their honest plan heading into next season is we got a quarterback with Hendon Hooker at the end of the first round. Like that, if that's the actual plan, then these guys are as miserable as the third coach in 3 years would suggest.
They're not in the middle of the distribution. They're for sure one of the
the ends of this. Yes,
they either have stuff so figured out.
Yes.
And also I have never done it, but I will say a lot of the trades over the last 20 years that I've been following football with New England Patriots have been very advantageous for the Patriots, and I bet they're a pain in the ass to deal with. And I wonder for some reason that trade negotiation either never happened or it broke down. Who knows? Okay. My theory is, man, they put that. They put the expectations out there that, hey, guess what? 1 more year of rebuild, guys. Like, stick with this. If you are able to put out that statement and that's truly the way they go, then I think you have buy-in from the ownership on the GM, coach, the leadership group. Because if you're sitting there at like a Nagy Pace kind of thing from a couple of years ago, and ownership isn't bought into you. Like, you can't be pulling any of this stuff. You just have to be like, oh my God, we have to Hail Mary. Which quarterback? Like, you're not even thinking about which quarterback gives me the best next 10 years. You're thinking about which quarterback gives me the best 2023, and nothing else matters. Like that, I just have to save my job.
Okay, so I think we can close the book on this. I still think Levis goes 2. I think if the this isn't going to make or break.
You saw my percentages.
This isn't. This isn't going to make or break my my draft. I guess one final thought on them. Let's really close the book on this. Okay. John McClain goes on Houston radio, says they've known all along. I think it's going to be Levis, and then releases a mock later in the day that has Tyree Wilson. What is your opinion of that?
Come out to the coast. Have a few laughs.
John McClane.
Unserious,
Incredible.
unserious people. The people that, and if you don't have information, you can just say whatever you want.
That's your opinion. That's what you think is going on there.
Yeah, I just don't think he actually has the answer.
Okay. But why change it then?
I don't know, man.
Why change it unless the Texans
anything?
asked you to? Honestly, I feel like he probably got a call after that.
And Dan hits us too. Like he's in like semi-retirement, man. It doesn't matter. He's made his nut. He's like, he's a big deal in Houston. It's not like he has anything to prove.
Yeah, I don't think you want to jack the fans around though. Get them all excited that they're going to take a quarterback at 2, and then it's actually it's actually a tweener linebacker. Like, oh, sorry guys. Like, he's great at the run stop though. Like, cool. Like, I don't think that's really realistic. But anyway, who the hell knows? All right. So moving on then, a couple other questions / thoughts. Is Bryce Young 1.01 a bridge jumper? Should that be minus 9,000?
When it was minus 900 today, I was thinking about like what's your limit? And is the bet the limit, or will you let me bet 9 times that?
Mm-hmm.
And I just I talked about this with Thomas Viola the other day when I did an unabated pod. We talked a little bit about this. I said there are some of these where it's like, man, this is 99% certainty on some of this stuff. And, Kelly might tell you, Kelly Criterion, not a person named Kelly, might tell you hey, you should be betting like 70% of your bankroll on this because these are the implied odds. This is what you say it is. Like, That's fine and all. But again, we live in a real world with real, consequences to doing something like that. And if you get in the 1%, edge case, something fucked up happens, and we've been lied to this whole time, your risk of ruin is just not worth it. I don't think. Like, I'm fine with bridge jumping some minus 300, 400, 500 stuff. I wish I'd have put more on. And it's funny, the gut mock we did today with Luke, the gut mock had 5 offensive linemen.
Oh no!
Last week on that same show, I said minus 200 for over 5.5 linemen is super short. Now it's like,
how did you only end up with 5? Yikes, man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we just went really weird at the end.
Okay. So then the other quick question for you, the Reddit stuff was somebody just having a big old laugh, or what the hell? What was that?
We'll never know. We'll never know what his his motives were, I guess, for lack of a better term. I don't know, that it's just and the more we talked about it, says, why aren't we doing this? Like, if we had really good, just people who are chatting about the draft, like if we actually got really good information on something, and I think maybe for me, it would be the guilt that I would feel that other people are wasting their money, losing money gambling based on this team. I guess you can kind of counteract that with, like, if you're dumb enough to like bet a significant amount of money based on something you read on Reddit, maybe you deserve to lose that money anyway. You were going to in the first place. But I said, like, once we knew Trayvon Walker was going number 1, why didn't we have a bunch of stuff like that on Reddit, just multiple accounts? I talked to Thibodeau, I talked to Hutchinson, whoever, and like, he's already got, we could have photoshopped some like, vanity plates that said Duval, and like he's got this on his car already and stuff like that, and just pushed it. Oh no, Trayvon Walker's like 7-1 to go first now. Like, and then just unload accounts on it. Like, that's the move. This is very ethical though. Yeah. No, it's super. That's the answer. It's like it's super unethical. Okay. So yeah, the SEC is getting involved, and any liability that books had on like Bryce, they were probably able to take the edge off that a little bit yesterday, or the day before, whenever it happened.
I like it. Okay, so that's all I really have to say about the top. I do want to say one of my favorite moments of the draft cycle, and I'm not sure you caught this. I hope you did. The Superbook opened over-unders, and they hung the long-awaited for CJ Stroud total. And honestly, I've had a tough time betting this cycle because the only sincere belief I've had going on now 3 weeks has been that CJ Stroud is going to slide. And this sincere take was just, I got a distinct sense that the media broadly was, a lot higher on CJ Stroud than NFL teams based on just kind of sourcing. Well, how do you rank these guys? What do you think? Like, what are you hearing? Like, everything was basically coming up. Stroud is likely not going to be as sought after a commodity as one would expect. And so most of my action was really just trying to get ways to bet that. And then finally an over-under popped on Superbook. Now, I have no access to the Superbook, but I was very curious to see what would happen with that number. Did you see what happened to that number? Because they hung, I think, over 3.5, minus 110 either way was their opener for the CJ Stroud number. And it went one way, and it went one way aggressively. Like, there were people clicking minus 400 at over 4.5. There was some big minus juicy numbers that people were more than happy to swing away on with the over. Somebody took a break. There was a little bit of buyback, and then it was more over. And I think it ultimately just went away. What do you buy into the CJ Stroud is going to slide? Do you have a sense of where he ultimately lands, and where in the butt mock, where did he go?
Oh, I'd have to go check. I didn't even save it. I'd have to go back and watch the tape. Honestly, we restarted it because we hated how it started, which is how every mock draft that anyone's ever written goes. Like, you restart it 9 times. The old trope that you see on TV of the guy trying to write a book and there's a trash can with a bunch of crumpled up balls full and all around it. That's how you write a mock draft. I don't know. I think the slide is probably real. I think a lot of the negative feedback in the media is probably overbeat, but it does check out with one metric. There's been one thing that's been standard in the NFL draft betting market for many, many years, and that is whatever quarterback Andy thinks is the best is not. Like, I've been wildly wrong. I even wrote that in a tweet this week. I said, I think Hagren was writing about the NFL and whatever, and got back. He answered, and I replied again. I said, the thing I've learned the most is that NFL teams, I gave them way too much credit for quarterback evaluation. They're actually not good at it for the most part. Mm-hmm. NFL media people are even worse, and I know next to nothing. And that's my take. So I love Stroud. So him falling actually super much checks out. Stroud 11 to Tennessee, which I don't hate that fit.
Yeah, I think in general, I think the Stroud S2 stuff was probably pointed at as the reason, when there was probably like 10-ish reasons in total.
The reason is the picture from last year where it's Olave, Wilson, JSN, and Harrison Jr. all sitting next to each other.
And
it's like, those guys are like, there's like, what are the odds? At least 2 of them are Hall of Fame receivers at some point.
I think I absolutely think that the system and the talent that was around him is hurting him. I think that a lot of people probably sat down and watched CJ Stroud tape and came away thinking, God damn it, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be a great player.
Yeah,
and
if you watch
holy crap, did you see Paris Johnson Jr.?
Game?
That guy was a monster. Like, really, like, there are other players, and I think this is hurting JSN too, by the way. Don't get me wrong. It didn't just hurt Stroud. I think it definitely is kind of throwing some cold water on Jackson. But ultimately, I think that, it's easy to watch the tape and be like, this guy was surrounded by absolutely elite talent. I also think that the Ohio State, style of offense with the way that they call plays and the type of plays they run, NFL teams, for whatever reason, don't feel that that's a super easy thing to transition to the NFL level, and that hurts him. And then, surely the cognition stuff is a factor for some teams. And, my entire book right now is basically Stroud's not going to go 4. Right. Like, I just don't see it. If Stroud goes 2, doesn't really affect me. If Stroud goes 3, doesn't really affect me. I just need some quarterback to go in the top 4, presumably, that is not Stroud. That is not Stroud only at 4. Right. Does that make sense? Like, if Stroud goes 4 and Levis and Richardson slide out of the top 4, then I'm turning the draft off and I'm taking a long walk.
I'm just taking a bubble bath. Um, yeah, no, and it's weird too because maybe it was just me not watching a ton of it, but taking in a big chunk of the Georgia game. If he plays like he played in the Georgia game, he's better than Mahomes. Like, I'll just say it. Like that was like God level quarterbacking against a defense. It's like, hey, all of these guys are getting drafted, and they've been one of the best defenses we've ever seen in college football. And you were just making a mockery out of it at some points. Where was this all year?
Sure.
I don't know. Just
honestly, that gives you like, was it him or was it Day? Was it Day? Was it Marvin Harrison?
It was
Jr., right?
it was
like,
a combination of like, hey,
Yeah.
you have an elite tackle. Hey, you have 4 elite receivers. You have a good tight end. You have a good running back. You have a good coach. It was, I mean, he played, but you still have to go out and execute. Like you
have to go out. Yeah, sure. It was a well called game though. Yeah. In my opinion. Anyway, all right. CJ Stroud, I think his slide is in. Do you what is your opinion on why there is such a bettable number on Anthony Richardson under 4.5 right now? That implies like it's basically priced like there is a very low likelihood he goes in the top 4, but it should be about the same price as Levis going 2, I think, because I just have too much. There's just been too much negative, buzz between Colts and Stroud. And if the Colts not taking a quarterback in this draft would absolutely floor me, which means that if they're stuck at 4, Levis is gone. I'm assuming that Richardson is live. Am I crazy?
No, I don't think so. Again, I've been speculating on this stuff for 3 weeks now, and my brain is just, it feels like it's full of molasses and bubble gum. But I mean, it checks out. I just, there's like, it's crazy. It's like usually all the butterfly effect iterations, multiverse shit doesn't happen until we get to like 5. It's crazy how it starts at 2. There's so much, because two changes a bunch of people. And I think Richardson moving up to 7.5, like you're talking about in the chat there, John. I was pretty tempted at taking the under 7.5 there.
Okay.
Jeremiah's mock is a mess. I saw it.
Yeah, I think he basically is. He's gonna, like, I was kind of joking with if we do an awards show for draft information people, Jeremiah's nominated for LVP. Sorry, buddy. Hasn't been a great cycle.
I don't know. Yet to see. I don't want to.
Yeah,
sure. You can't crown people before we get to the draft. We could be dead wrong.
He's been on Kincaid Island. If Kincaid goes in the top 15, I will eat a bit of crow, but not.
I think Kincaid went the top 15. I think we gave Green Bay Kincaid.
Oh wow, top 13. Peter King said it too, and that guy's plugged. All right. Well, in full transparency, I multi-clicked Richardson under 4.5 today at plus 300. It was an easy way to kind of cover myself a little bit because there was a decent enough reporting of Irsay kind of having a hard on for Richardson that I was like, oh man, if Indianapolis is kind of given up on the idea of Levis being there and Irsay has this now affinity for Richardson, like there's a world where it goes like Young, Anderson, Wilson, Richardson, and then all my Levis under is going to be under massive amount of pressure because most of my Levis unders were in like the 7.5 range, and it's like, okay, now I need to basically like somebody to save my ass here and trade up, or need the Raiders to backstop me at 7, and I don't think they're really in the market for quarterback anymore. So I was kind of panicked on that front and took a good amount of Levis Richardson under 4.5 at a plus 300 and better. There was resistance there, and it was non-trivial. And if the resistance is willing to lay minus 400, basically, then that's indicative of somebody knows something. So I'm still a little shook on that one. If we get confirmation at any point in time between now and when the draft kind of markets close, and you want to know if I have the information that Levis is going in the top 2 or even the top 3 to Tennessee or something like that, And you want to know if I know, I am going to multi-click this Richardson under 4.5 to death, because that is this way to attack that. I don't think there's any other kind of heavily liquid markets out there where you can get that kind of bet in at this point. Cirque is closed. So if we know it, Levis is going in the top 3, I think well, maybe.
Somebody has to be on the other side.
Yeah, there's smart people there. May learn from one of those people. May hear from one of those people. Anyway, Richardson under 4.5 at plus 300 or better is the way to attack. If that number evaporates, that's why. So just explaining that too. If you want some action between now and when we get there. Anything else you want to talk about the draft? You want to talk about a little NBA?
Let's dribble on over to the NBA. New York is
facing
up by 12 after 3
elimination game for the old Cleveland Cavaliers. What went wrong? Everything?
A little bit everything. The Lakers down by 9.5.
Should be a bigger margin. That's not a good thing. If it was like 20, then I think you could get a Lakers active rest in the second half, but 9 is enough that they're going to try. Yep. Let's start with the Cavs Knicks game, I guess, because it's on. This is going to be stale as shit if you're listening tomorrow morning, so apologies.
Should we even do that? Should we talk like future facing stuff a little bit? I mean, I did kind of. I don't know if did they take the odds down once the basketball starts. I did screenshot Chris future prices earlier this afternoon just in case that was going to be the case. But I guess all right, we're going to do this. Casual Andy, who has watched 5 playoff games so far, and 2 of them are Timberwolves games, so that's not good.
Those are the worst of them.
Rough hang. The East prices right now, the Boston Celtics are still minus 111. This was this afternoon at Chris to win the East, having to go through, and I understand we have an injury issue for Embiid, and we have an injury issue for the Bucks. And technically, the Bucks have not even moved on yet. They are 13.5-point favorites tonight. By the time you listen to this, maybe that's already over. But just prisoner of the moment, Andy. Watched that team absolutely choke it, just absolutely choke and gargle last night. And Trae Young's a very good player. There's a few good players on that Atlanta team. They made the playoffs for a reason, but that was kind of troubling. Should they be? Yeah. If I offered you, I'm not gonna give you a good price on this because I'm not the kind of sportsbook who's going to be easily taken to the cleaners by a sharp cat like you. But let's say the Boston Celtics price minus 111. I give you minus 125 on the field to win the East. You get the Sixers. You get the
two-way market.
Two-way market, just a two-way market. Minus 125 on the field to win the East.
Oh, man.
How are you feeling right now, given the current path, the current state of the Celtics, and the state of the other teams?
I'm taking the Celtics in that.
You kind of talk your way through it. Well, I mean, you're a Boston guy.
I'm not taking it today, though. I'll tell you that much, because my price is going to get better. It's going to get a lot better if the Bucks move on. And right now, that's a 50-50 proposition according to the market. Okay. The fact that the Bucks find themselves in this spot is unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. The Heat are a bad basketball team with one heroic couple of efforts out of Jimmy Butler that I will almost.
It was fun.
It's fun to watch, but man, I'm going to pay to see it again. I'm going to pay to see it again at any point in the rest of the series. Now, Game 7, Bucks could choke, get tight, sure. Like that's very, very, very possible. But my strategy, I like the Bucks tonight to win and advance. I think playing their series price is a fine thing to do at this current price. And I'm definitely going to be backing the Bucks depending on how many points they're asking you to lay in Game 6. But then, 7. I mean, Bucks are choke artists. I worry about that a little bit, but I still think the Bucks are very live to move on. And at that point, your price on the Celtics is going to be a lot better. So, if you, I'm
a little confused.
Yeah, sure.
What's the series at right now? That's how far out I am.
It's 3-1.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the confidence of the Celtics moving on is 100% effectively. The confidence of the Bucks moving on is a little bit better than 50.
Okay, because that price just didn't jive, seeing how they're like 14-point favorites tonight.
Well, it's.
But you
I
gotta.
mean, tonight's game,
There's
like,
just no error
yeah,
for margin.
yeah,
No margin for error.
yeah, and I mean, tonight's price, I think, is also influenced by people are kind of bought into Jimmy Butler can't do it 2 games in a row just because he was looked absolutely physically shot for large portions of that game.
Full Kellen Winslow Sr.
Yes, seriously. So I think that's influencing things a bit. But ultimately, the Celtics are the team. The Celtics melt last night was not enough to really move the market, I didn't think, on them. But it did tell you that there were a couple of chinks in the armor. The first is Marcus Smart, who played some bad basketball. And the second was Joe Mazzulla, who did some bad coaching, I thought.
Yeah.
And you know, he's learning on his first playoffs. And so he may ultimately not reach this team's potential this season. This team hasn't played as well at any point in the year 2023 as they did in 2022. Their peak, if you look at their Darko peak as a team, it was better in 2022 than like in the fall of 2022 than it is now. Offense has cooled off a lot. Defense has not recovered to where they were in the playoffs last year. So, yeah, then there's reasons to be skeptical of the Celtics. But I like the fact that this team, it's a rested team. They're going to build to their potential. I think the Philly series is going to be super competitive. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I definitely underrated Philly, and excited to see what that price opens up as. I wish we had a price now we can talk about, but we don't.
That's my other thing. And I know these are, I mean, technically these are stale numbers because the win probability for the Knicks right now is, I mean, they're up by 8 with 9 minutes left. It's high-ish, but I mean, just if, you know, I gave you the field, which was, you said you'd take the Celtics, which I can live with, but this afternoon, the Knicks were 10-1 to win the East. The Bucks were 3.5 to 1. Which one of those would you have bet? Like, let's just say they both win tonight.
Well,
like that Bucks price sucks, right?
Yeah, it's
like,
pretty
that
bad.
Stinks out loud. And not that I want to bet on a Knicks team.
It needs to be bigger. Yeah, between those prices, Knicks, but very, very, very weak confidence.
The only real price worth betting is probably Sixers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, Sixers. I mean, the Sixers are going to be an interesting play. They're a better playoff team than I realized by a lot. They just need to avoid Game 7 because at that point, Doc Rivers does his thing.
He does the thing. The GIF of him where he's just like,
"What? Huh? How do we losing this?" So yeah, I think you know, I'm a little bit better than 50% on the Celtics to win the East, which is a big number. But again, like once the Bucks salvage whatever the hell is going on with them, and Giannis, I'm assuming, gets healthier, I would expect that number is going to come into the plus 150, plus 180 range. They have a tougher path, but again, I'm excited to bet Celtics versus the Bucks in that series specifically. I like the way they match up, and it's going to be a fun series. The Celtics, really, the rest of the Eastern Conference Finals look like they're going to be good unless Miami wins, and then Knicks Heat is going to to be weird.
Are you sitting on any long-term, East-West championship, anything?
I have a bunch of Grizzlies. You want any? I got a whole bunch.
Quote the price.
Okay.
No.
No.
I do. Oh, shit, I do have a Lakers bet. Remember when it was Kyrie was going to go there and LeBron was going to fix him like a bad ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I took some Lakers. So
I'll tell you what, man.
I guess I have to cheer for the Lakers a little too.
You're subject to a lot of weird stuff that happens in the playoffs because your mind goes immediately to pattern recognition, and it's impossible to look at these playoffs and not be like, how am I rewatching the bubble playoffs? Like, what is happening? This is absolutely ridiculous. The Lakers are bad, yet they are winning. The Heat are bad, yet they are winning.
Little tilting for me.
Yes.
Say that out loud.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I miss the bubble playoffs worse than I miss all my pets who've died through my whole life.
Oh man.
Yeah. I mean that too. There was playoff basketball in like the middle of the day. Am I misremembering awesome. That? They had the playoff games were early.
Oh my God. The Grizzlies can just quit. Just quit, you clowns. It's now 60-61. Oh my God. I'm going to lose a lot of money.
I'm correct, right? The playoff games and the bubble were like in the middle of the day.
Yeah. There was a bunch of those here.
Fuck, that was awesome.
Yeah, there was a
I
bunch.
thought for some reason I thought,
and there
maybe that
was really
like
no
a-
work because the world was kind of stopping, or it was.
Yeah, I watched. That's
paused.
the most basketball I ever watched. Was the obviously that was awesome. They should just do the bubble every year. Just pick a city.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, there's so many parallels so far. It's been bizarre. Donovan Mitchell bowing
Can't put
out
an
in the first
asterisk on
quarter.
this one.
That's a good point. I don't know, man. I don't know about what's going on in the West. I don't really have a good read there. I would take the Nugs probably at price. I think the Nugs are a good bet against the Suns. That to me looks like a mispriced series.
A little more evenly priced. So this morning or this afternoon, I screenshotted it. Nuggets 280. Suns were your favorite at 148.
Mm-hmm.
Plus all plus numbers. Warriors plus 355, which feels about like the Bucks number. Like I want no part of that. Lakers plus 425 feels like you're paying a little premium there, and maybe that's a bad number as well. But and then Kings and Grizz, we're not betting those numbers.
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Warriors realistically can mount the Warriors, though they do match up well against the Nuggets. But the Warriors match up really poorly against the Suns, from what I can tell you. So I think if it's a Suns Warriors Western Conference Finals, your Suns are going. And I think if it is a Nugs Warriors Western Conference Finals, I'm worried about my Nugs. But the Nugs, I think, are a good bet against the Suns, and for a lot of reasons. I think they match up really, really well against this team. I think the defense you've seen from DeAndre Ayton so far, and really like the last few months, particularly in the playoffs, has been the kind of defense that is going to get utterly he's going to get played off the court by this Nuggets team. So
did you see this? Did you see this take? And then the draft chat was filling up again, so I caught up real quick while you're talking to me. I have ADD, Drew, and there's still an Adderall shortage. But Danny Heifetz of The Ringer had and I'm just doxing the shit he puts in private DMs, which I don't give a shit because it's funny, and I don't think he actually means this. But what if you trade up from 12 to 3, but also keep 2? You draft Levis and Richardson. Colts get no quarterback. You set that franchise back 10 years. And that's like, it's funny, but also in that scenario, like Richardson turns into Superman somehow.
That's fun.
I like that move. All right. Yeah. So the West, truthfully, like just from what I've watched, I did have concern about this when we brought it up at the shipper, though. I said, hey, are the Nuggets going to look? The Nuggets are very good. I want to preface it with that. Everybody knows this. They're a very, very good team with no bench. It's like it's just not going to matter against Minnesota. They just don't have a team that's built to win a playoff series against a decent team. Like, are we going to overvalue the Nuggets after they beat the shit out of a not that good of a team? Maybe we're at that spot, but man, they have playoff experience and they have Jokic, and like you said, they match up good against the Suns. Would be second round.
It's coming up.
That's the coming up one. So you go Suns, then Lakers. Oof.
Starts on Saturday. Yeah. Suns and Lakers is good matchups for the Nugs. That gets them to the Western Conference Finals, in my opinion. If the Kings can somehow slay the Warriors, then the Nugs, like, I'm running to the window to back the Nugs to win the West, because it's over at that point, in my mind, at least. And maybe I'm giving the Suns a little bit of a short shrift, but there's just too many weaknesses with that team. Too many difficult coaching decisions Monty Williams is going to have to make. Too many guys you really can't play down that bench. And Jokic is just a complete and total mismatch in every which way you could imagine offensively. So,
on that note too, I got into a little quick chat in the Discord with Abnormally Distributed about all the crypto scams we fell for over the years, including the Zed horses I still own. NBA Top Shots. If somebody wants, I went and logged in because I was like, God, I still have moments, I bet. And I have a Jokic moment. If somebody wants to buy that, $5 best offer, whatever.
I'm also ADDing out right now in the Discord. Steven asked for clarification on my Richardson point. If I hear sincerely that Levis is going 2 or 3, my first move, and the only way that I can get liquidity with that information is to bet Richardson under 4.5 because my operating assumption is that the Colts will be forced to take him fourth. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah.
And it's a +3 something number. So you can click away at 500 pop and get shit, man. You could get to win 10K without really moving it past 300, I would guess. Maybe you're going to move to 250, but you're going to be able to get a good payout on that if we hear ultimately one way or the other. If we hear it's a defensive player, then I'm shit out of luck.
Then we're in a weird spot.
Praying the Colts take Levis. Yeah. All right. Don't really have many other NBA thoughts here other than I really would.
All right. Take 2 steps back from gambling.
Sure.
As a fan of the association, what's your dream finals to watch? Celtics. Celtics Suns or Celtics Nugs?
No, dream finals is probably
Celtics Lakers.
Sixers Nugs.
Sixers Nugs is obviously my.
I would love to see Harden in a finals. I would love to see Embiid in a finals. I would love to see Jokic in a finals, and I would love to see
Harden has no rings, correct?
Harden has no rings. The only
I'd like Harden and Durant to have rings and Westbrook to not.
No players with rings in that series, as far as I can tell you.
Yeah, I would like Harden and Durant to have
no
rings
players with. I don't think there's any players with finals appearances in that.
Do you remember
that series?
Somebody brought this up. Do you think that Warriors Thunder series was the best series you ever watched?
Oh, PJ Tucker's been to. PJ Tucker has a ring. Sorry, excuse me. PJ Tucker has a ring.
The question stands.
I didn't hear it. I was trying to figure out if there was any
Thunder Warriors series. Do you think that was the best series you ever watched? Someone brought up like one of the games was the best playoff game in their like
Cavs Warriors with the game 7 was.
But it was a final, so it gives it that extra.
Yeah, and the drama of that series, Draymond getting suspended for game 5 because of the nut kick, and that
Harden does have a finals appearance. I forgot about that because how bad it was.
Oh, with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah, okay. I didn't hear about that.
How far did he? How long was he with Houston?
Man, he was with Houston for a long time, but I guess he was on that OKC team. Yeah, that lost in straight. They lost 4-0 to.
Were you about to say straight sets?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. You got any thoughts on tennis? Or you got to close?
It's it's little early. Once I'm excited getting to Roland Garros here. They did lose in 5, according to Dan. I believe that. That was a good series. I think you're right. Obviously, gambling wise, I would love to see the Sixers. I cheer for poor Philadelphia, as awful as the people there are. For the most part, their fans. Mm-hmm. They threw beers at all the Vikings fans who went there. That makes me sad.
What would be
the
cool?
fact that they lost the Super Bowl, the Phillies,
they lost the World Series, they lost the soccer thing. It'd be fun for them
to
lose.
I really do like Embiid. I wouldn't mind Embiid getting a ring. Like he's a monster.
Yeah,
that's something. I don't want him to go full Marino. Just not get one his entire career.
It'd be really fun to handicap that series because I don't know if you know this, but Embiid doesn't love playing at altitude. He tends to dodge Jokic in Denver, so it'll be interesting to see if he just skips those games. Yeah, because Philly will have home court. Yeah,
can you imagine load management sitting him out for a finals game? Like fuck it, we're punting this one.
Yeah,
you got to put it on. So, but also just for the. I don't know, the aesthetics of it. Celtics Lakers would be pretty badass. Yeah. Like cutting promos for that, like the guys who do TV are hard thinking about cutting promos.
Yeah.
Like it's like when we had the Niners Cowboys, and they just did all the stuff like, oh, these teams have played in this game so many times, and they show Steve Young and they show Troy Aikman. Like Celtics Lakers, I mean, it's easy. You probably already have that written. Like that stuff's already ready, and that'd be a fun one. Plus, just like LeBron losing another finals is funny. To be like his 8th final. The guy's been to so many finals, like you can't even dog on him.
I don't want to watch any more Lakers basketball. So the sooner they can be sent home, the better. And it doesn't look like it's going to happen in this series because Memphis is choking as hard as I've seen them choke in a while. But that's been their MO this year, or at least this playoff. So
they're now up by 1.
yeah, it's not good. It's not fun. All right. They're struggling so hard offensively against the defense. The Lakers are running some smothering defense, but their offense is unwatchable. It's just rough. All right, let's close the book in the NBA. The tennis.
I'm not really prepped for any tennis.
Yeah.
I've been paying attention
any kind of news and info you're wondering from me?
I'm excited about this. Every time there's like a new 15-year-old on the WTA, that's fun. It's just crazy. It's like this girl's like 9th grader just coming out and beating Layla Fernet, it's wild how these these pubescent girls come out, and it seems like, especially the Eastern European ones, the Czech ones, it's just like they don't seem to have any fear.
They don't know they're not supposed to win. That's that's the beauty of it. Yeah. I was like lightheaded. Lightheaded. This for YouTube short. I love it.
Don't get me in trouble. I'm just saying, like, I was nervous.
Yeah. How do you know they haven't hit puberty? Andy, what's going on
I
here?
said pubescent. I didn't say prepubescent. Jesus.
Okay.
No, but it's crazy. Like,
this got weird real quick.
I know. Let's just cut this. Kill the feed. I get nervous. Love you, Dan. I got nervous at a mini golf tournament as a full-grown man with no real stakes. I was sweating these putts, and these freaking 9th grade girls just come out and like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play Wimbledon or whatever, and I'm gonna beat a few people.
They don't know that they're not supposed to. Yeah, they don't know any better.
We had a kid on our wrestling team when we were in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very good from a young age. And like, I think we all said that about him. He's like, he just doesn't know any better. He doesn't know that he's not supposed to beat this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He just goes out there and beats him. It was just nuts. Like, it doesn't matter that he's 3 years older than him. He's like, he's just going to beat him. So yeah, no, I can't think of the girl's name. The one that beat Fernandez today.
Yeah.
Brett loves her.
It was not Fruvatova.
No, it's not a Fruvatova.
Jeannie Bouchard won. Andreev. Yeah, Andreev.
Oh, Mira Andreev.
Sorry, Andreeva.
Russian,
Andreeva.
I believe.
Yeah, she's kind of dangerous. She's dangerous.
Why is she always in a hurry? Bad joke.
Yeah. Okay. Men's is interesting for sure. Definitely the most curious what's going on with Yannick Sinner, because he matters for sure for Rome. He matters for sure for Roland Garros. He got withdrew from Barcelona, so we didn't get to see him play Carlitos on the clay, which I really wanted to see. He got beat by Holger Rune in Monte Carlo. I thought Holger Rune he's having a really nice clay run. He did lose in straights. He did lose in 3 to Rublev in the Monte Carlo final. That was a really physical match. I thought he played well enough to win, but couldn't get it across the line. And then he had an unbelievable comeback against Botek van de Schlup in the Munich final to be able to have the right to put on the lederhosen and hold the Bierstein and Pretzel in Munich as the Munich champion.
I'll send you something from the DP World Tour that's equally as offensive.
I don't think Rene is going to be a bet at Madrid. I think this is Carlos's or pass. Like, he's going to probably win without dropping a set. Just not enough good players in the field on this for these conditions. And I think Carlos's price for Roland Garros is going to be pretty unbelievable. Like, you're going to be like, are we living in a world like you remember Peak Nadal going into Roland Garros?
Yeah, minus 120.
That's where we're headed.
Yeah,
which is amazing. Djokovic is going to be in the field, but he's obviously dealing with something in his elbow. Nadal may be in the field, but maybe not. That is looking increasingly unlikely. Rune's not quite ready to pop yet. Rude has taken an enormous step back so far. Felix has sucked this season. Team is definitely not a contender, even though I thought maybe he could put something together this cycle. So it kind of comes down to Carlos Rune, and Sinner for Roland Garros. It's going to be all the young guns, the next gen. Like, this is really going to be an interesting tournament, unless Djokovic is playing possum. We're going to find out in Rome.
Yeah. And Lackman's joking about Dan making a quote graphic about me. Here's the thing you need to know about Dan. Like, he won't post it, but he will still make that graphic and then send it to me just because he thinks those are funny. I should check. I probably already have it in my goddamn Slack.
Incredible.
He does make a lot of quote graphics that never see the light. They are left on the cutting room floor. Yeah, I think we'll do 2 weeks to Roland Garros.
We got basically 2-ish weeks of Madrid, and then
so 2.5, 3.
3. No, 4. It's 4 because there's like a week and a half of Madrid, a week and a half of Rome, and then a week of that intermediate. Where like they go to like Lucerne and Lyon, right? You know what I'm talking about? Geneva.
Yeah, we'll give it a.
It's Geneva.
There's
Lyon,
the bye week where you
basically the bye week where the qualifiers are qualifying. It's really qualifying week. It's a qualifying week.
Yeah, will.
Hamburg is after French Open.
Yeah, I do like Hamburg. We'll give the French Open its proper due once we get to it, because we'll be at a point where we can just do whatever we want. And we've already secured everybody's favorite horse guest for next week.
Hell yeah.
Mike.
I'll be there. I'm going to be in.
I was going to ask what day you were going down. I thought about.
I'm going on Friday. I'm going on Wednesday. Sorry, I'm going on Wednesday. So I think I'll be there to record.
My kids hate each other right now. They just fight constantly. Like,
oh really?
They're at that age. That's how kids fight. Siblings fight. But it's annoying to me because I have to listen to it. And I really liked those days down in Myrtle Beach where I didn't. So I thought about I should just drive down to the Derby. Just not even fly. Not? Just like leave a day early. Like, I couldn't find tickets, so I got to leave another day early and just.
What
drive.
Are you waiting for?
I might do it. Well, we'll see what gas.
I think you should.
It's nice down there. Maybe I'll even camp. Bring the camper.
To answer Sign Collectibles questions, because he always asks good stuff. Corda, French Open each way on the other half of Alcaraz. I'm excited to see what he looks like in Madrid. He's in the draw. He probably is going to play. We haven't seen him play since the Australian Open, which feels like an absolute lifetime ago. So no idea if he can find clay form in time to be a threat, but he had a decent little run last year before he got straight setted by Alcaraz. So you never know. He's a good little player. Price is probably going to be awesome on him, and there's plenty of guys below him in price that I would never touch. So yeah, that's interesting. Anyway.
Yeah. I don't want to I just didn't spend a lot of time on the Derby might suck for outright fixed, even every kind of betting. Like, we might just have a pretty big price or pretty not good price. But the fun part about the Derby, especially if you're the kind of person who likes to bet into the fixed odds markets that are available, which are, I should speak to this. It's fewer and further between in the legal markets, as regulations around horse and just how parimutuel betting works are much different than the regulations around sports betting, which is why DraftKings had to create DK Horse, which is why FanDuel works. They have TVG. It's why Twin Spires is a partner. Like, you almost have to have your own horse book now for that sort of stuff. But if you dally in the offshores, you're going to see plenty of the fixed odds markets. And the beauty of that is there's so many matchups. I do love horse matchups almost more than just like straight up horse betting. But you know me, I'm going to put in like a $300 superfecta ticket at like, here's 300 different options at 10 cents a piece or whatever.
I think this is a good Derby to do that because, and I'm spoiling a hot take here, but favorite is a bet against Andy.
Well, at a certain point, once the odds get to a certain point, Like it has to be a bet against. Like it's
Dude,
the same as everything.
This horse is basically undefeated. He won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He won every race he's run this season. Now you watch those races, and some of them are really like, whoa, he was very lucky. But I think he's going to go off as decent chalk, well below fair, and I think I think you can put together a pretty fun ticket around taking him on, which is going to be cool. So I'm very excited.
I mean, what are the odds of like a big long shot winning the Kentucky Derby, though, Drew?
2 years in a row.
I was going to say, I doubt we'll get the
Rich strike twice in a row.
Yeah,
like Rich doesn't strike twice. I'll tell you what, man.
Horse betting is not my forte, but I will be looking to.
Last year was my first Derby experience, and we spent an entire week there doing content. Didn't mention Rich strike once. The entire week, never said
he wasn't even in the field to start.
He was an alternate. He was an alternate. He didn't get into the field until Saturday morning after we were already done recording, and so he was a long shot for reasons that were very clear, and the pace melt that allowed him to win that race.
Will you actually stay down for the race this time?
Yes. I'll be
there. Last year, I think you had a.
They may. There's rumors they're going to put me on the broadcast. We're going to see about that. I need a haircut.
There was a wedding or something that hosed you. I felt.
Yeah, my cousin was getting married in the East Coast, so I had to go to Balto, sweet Balto. I was in the wrong horse city.
Yeah, I was going to say that you were a couple weeks early.
The last thing I'll mention, if you've stayed this far, if you're a little deep dive listener and you're going to the Derby, hit me up on Twitter. DMs are open. Definitely we'll do a little toasting of some bourbon on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday night. So
I think Mr. Watto might be there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We crossed paths in Vegas for March Madness, and I didn't get the chance to cheers him with the 7. He's the 7-7 guy, right? Is he 7?
So here's the thing, and I'm just gonna dox this motherfucker too. Big Ten Watto on Twitter at Big Ten Watto. He has the GI Joe Cobra logo. Kelly, tennis better, AFL better. Loves to gamble. Loves sports. He's just a nice guy. But he orders a rye and water, but he expects them to pour Crown Royal. So when he says rye, he means Canadian. He is a Canadian person. Makes no sense. I'm like, I said you order rye. They just poured you a Canadian whiskey. He's like, yeah, that's what I wanted. that's not it. That's not a rye.
I'm gonna take him
rye with him.
I'm gonna take him to some of the good places down there.
That's the thing.
We'll introduce him to actual rye and see what he thinks. He's gonna be like, well, it's not watery enough. So we'll see.
I think the next. I don't know if I'll make it down. I think the next horse race I'll be at will be. I don't think I'll see you for the Derby, but I think I'll see you this year at a horse track.
Ooh.
Maybe in November.
Ooh.
There's a cathedral in Los Angeles that is hosting the Breeders' Cup this fall. And I've heard good things. They say, hey, Santa Anita's, or they say
it's beautiful in November.
Yeah, they say it's just massive compared to some of the other tracks. Like it's so big.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. The picturesque palm trees in the mountains from the grandstand is unbelievable.
I do have one more good story before we end. This is funny. I told Dan this. So Dan obviously works with me at BetSperts, and he does all the producing. He does a lot. He's all over the place. Just a man with 1,000 hats. And
Jack of all trades.
Man with 1,000 hats.
Master of many of those trades.
Not just because he has an addiction to buying them from home field apparel and whatnot. But I needed to find a clip of us reading an ad for another potential sponsor. They're like, hey, can you send me a clip of you doing an ad read? Actually, my revenue guy, Justin, asked for this. So Dan went back and found some ad reads, God bless his heart, sent me the clips. He clipped them and sent them to me on the company Slack. And I got home and I clicked on them, and they were the Circa ad reads from last summer.
Yeah.
So I clicked on it, and it's your voice and then my voice starting to do the ad read. And then about 15 seconds into the clip, you hear me, Andy Molitor, and my wife very much knows my voice, say, yeah, Drew and I will actually be in Vegas in like 2 weeks. And she's over on the couch, and her head, I think her neck cracked. I could hear her neck snap around so fast. She's like, just basically like, you have something to tell me, Andy? I'm like, no. So I had to explain that whole story. Like, no, baby. Sugar plum, not going to Vegas in a couple weeks. I mean, it was something like we're going to Vegas, it was imminent.
Oh my
She
God.
does not like it when I do surprise trips like that.
Especially on the heels of being unimpressed you went to Myrtle Beach, I think, right?
To mini golf. Which, and she got over it. Well, she thought it was hilarious once she saw that first hole-in-one clip on the deep dive account she showed everyone at work.
Yeah.
So at least she believed it was a real trip.
My wife got a kick out of it too because I told her you got dead fucking last, and she was like, "Oh, so you did get pranked? You had to go and play in this tournament where he then got last." And I was like, "Yeah,
it's good effort, Andy." My God, was she mad for like 15 seconds? She's like,
incredible,
fucking Vegas. no, honey. So yeah, Dan got me in trouble. Thanks, Dan.
Well, if you do decide to come, and this offer is only to Andy, none of you degens who are listening.
What is it? Lexington? What's the town?
It is Louisville.
Louisville. I always mix those up.
Louisville.
Louisville,
just across the Cincinnati River, Ohio River, just across the Ohio River from But yeah, if you do make it down, I can definitely get you a credential to get into some of like the crazy cool backs. Like the credential they give us is like literally you can go anywhere on the entire property. Like I spent a whole couple mornings just standing up on the roof with my binos, like just watching the workouts and stuff.
You know
it was cool as shit. What's that? Find the speakeasy. Petting horses. Yeah, we could walk around the paddock. We'll definitely walk around the paddock and
I'm a horse guy. I had a horse growing up.
Go check the speakeasy and stuff. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's only like a 9-hour drive.
That's kind of a long drive.
I love driving. It's the only time I get to listen to podcasts anymore. Oh my God, I drove down to Chicago a few weeks ago just for the sake of like getting away from these horrible children that are just bickering all the time and listening to some podcasts. Just having some time.
You can preview, you can listen to Derby previews the whole way. You'll know the horses better than I will, and I'll have been there petting them. So
God, yeah. So
it's great, man. All right. Well, any listeners who are also already planning to be there, reach out to me. We'll tip some bourbon and rye and Crown Royal and water. All of the above. They do not pour Crown Royal in bourbon country. I'll tell you that much.
No. At a minimum, I will drive up to Canterbury Park. If anybody's up there, hit me up. That'd be fun. So, all right, we'll see you guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week with Mike Somich.
Yeah.
Talking everything Derby, everything Oaks, getting into it. And
talk
ponies. Louisville. Bourbon slacks.
Dude, the Brad Cox horses look like they're ready to pop, man. I'm so fired up for the Derby. There's gonna be some